Okay, and it looks like we're back. Sorry, everybody, for a little bit of tech issues there. I think we've got through them all. So I'm going to hand back over to Mark and we will keep going.
Yeah, technical issues, always a fun part of working with computer systems. But we're back now and I'll try and share the screen. Oh, yeah, here I have it. Okay, seems we still have a bit of an issue.
It should be going now. I've just double checked the settings.
I'm not allowed to share the screen, it says.
Very odd. Hold on. Let me, oh, there we go.
It works. Right. Yeah, maybe a bit of a delay. Yeah, where was I? Let's log in again to the space. So we built our lovely robot with a brain, and let's just check if it works. So now we have made this event where if you approach it, it starts playing sound. And you can hear when you move closer, it will get louder and louder. And especially if you use headphones, you will also notice if you move left to right, it will also change the balance between the left and right audio channels, which tries to simulate how sound works in the real world. Something that would also be interesting for, I think, things like these conference calls, which make it more easier to focus on different conversations going on at the same time. So who knows how we can develop this space further in the future. Maybe it could also add a layer where people can meet each other, like in an exhibition, and can talk about the works. But currently, you can build all kinds of stuff just with the objects you have in space. Also have these chess pieces you can place in it.
Mark, we've had a question through from Luba, and she was wondering how you build the objects for the actual space.
The objects themselves you build in 3D modeling software. This chess piece is actually something I've downloaded online. It's made by someone else, which you can also do. Just go to websites where people post 3D models they made, and you can use this. But you can also use any 3D modeling software, build something yourself, and you export the file, and this can be imported into the space itself. I have to say at the moment, because of the time constraints, we didn't make a way for users to directly upload it, so we still have to do this. And the simple reason for this is because of safety concerns. The more access you give to users, the easier it is to hack a website. So this is also something we will develop in the future, a safe way for people also to upload their images and their 3D files and audio files, so they don't have to email them to us, and we have to include them into the space. So I hope this is a clear enough answer.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Let's see what we can do with the chess piece. So maybe interesting to know, you can also work with the color values. You have these preset colors because otherwise you have to scroll a lot to change the colors. But you can also create your own colors, which I always find a fun thing to do, is working with these RGB values. First time I worked with this, it was not that intuitive, but when you want to make something blue, for example, you have to take away the red and the green color, and instead of giving it a blue color, which is always a nice thing with computer systems, a little bit of different logic in it. Let's see what we can do with the chess piece. Other events we have programmed into this are video events where you can put a texture on an object, and when you approach it, a video starts playing. So we'll try and use this on the chess piece. Let's go to a nice texture. And use the correct setting. And it should start playing video if you approach. Well, seems to be some little bugs still to work out, but let's see what's going on. Always the thing when you build something quickly, you may have some little things you haven't tested fully yet. Let's just go take a look in another space. Maybe then it's easier to see what can be done. So the other spaces we built beforehand, for example, the works from the Exquisite Corpse project. And these, you may have seen these videos online because they were also live streamed, but we thought it would be a great thing also to include, to build a separate space for this. I hope this also gives a clear example of how video can also be used in this space. So this is built more like you would expect in an exhibition space, like sort of projections on the wall. But it can also be used in different ways. For example, like we did for the glitch swap project. So basically, because these are textures on objects, you can actually project them on anything you like. Oh, it's maybe also important to point out to move between these spaces. We also have these portals that you can use. So everyone can make their own space separate from each other. Also have our little grand piano from the project keycode installation. This is more of an example of how you can also use it on other types of objects. It's actually more on a cube. This shows another virtual exhibition we made before, which was more focused on simulating the idea of actual exhibition space where people can meet. Maybe maybe you want to try and make something in this virtual space?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I think I've sent the link and the login details to you.
Let me just get them up now. Okay, I will pop up as well. Hello. Should I log into the Co.Lab space or the Exquisite Corp space?
You can log into the Co.Lab space, I think.
Wonderful. Okay. Now, I'm on a Mac and I don't have a mouse wheel, so let's see how this goes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's something we didn't think about. Maybe also something to consider in the future.
Okay, well, let's see what I can do. Okay. I have an object, sweet.
Could you also share the screen?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good idea, isn't it? I'm just not looking at me. Okay. We're in.
Oh yeah, it works.
Okay, so I have my object. Oh, ooh, I can scroll like this. That's good. That's progress.
Oh yeah, this works.
It's not very precise, but let's just see what I land on. Cool. And then how did I move across to like scale and?
With the X and Z key.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, you can really deform the object.
Cool. I mean, it's really actually quite intuitive to use once you can just click around with a few buttons. And I can see where all of us kind of putting these different elements of like the exquisite corpse together, I can see making very weird versions of the same objects.
Yeah. The interesting part about it is that if anyone can make modifications, you also get this thing where someone might build something and someone else would just move it to another place or add stuff to it. So you could actually do something similar like the Exquisite Corpse project, only with 3D objects. Maybe even if
that could be quite fun as well, because we do have this next year ahead of us to kind of get used to what these spaces can do. If any of our artists are watching in the Facebook live stream and you want to jump in, the login is in our Discord if you want to have a play around as well. But I'm gonna have a play around and see what we can do. So if I wanted to add sound to it, I would.
Yeah, then you press the T. And then you can select the audio event, also with scrolling.
Oh, okay, got it.
And I think you then need the file. You move to the option for file.
Let's see what we have. Just trying to keep an eye in case we get any questions through as well. Let's try that one. And then proximity. Whoa. Perfect. I think we have someone jumping in as well. Ken, let's add Ken in. Hi, Ken. Okay, I'm back in now. And then once I've set the proximity and I have the file on, is it?
Yeah, then you press the space key and then it places it in space.
Perfect.
If you move backwards and forwards, then it should work. Sometimes it has a little trouble with things loading.
I'm not getting it on this one, but let me see maybe if we put another one in. So to edit it, space again.
If you move backwards, you see when it's selected.
Very nice. Okay, let's try this again. Let's try 11. I don't remember what one I did last time, so I'm going to assume this is a different one.
Yeah, those are all the audio files from the Exquisite Corpse project. A lot of these files have abbreviations, so maybe they should get more clear file names.
Okay, that's not picking up, but that could be because oh, no, it doesn't like my web page. That's why.
How is the page reloading?
Yeah, I think it might be. Okay, I'm back in here. So why don't I just run around a little bit if this is going to let me run around. That's why. Okay.
How is the page reloading?
It has. I'm in the Exquisite Corpse one now. Can I see that? I just run around a little bit. If okay.
So you don't have sound?
I do now, but it's in my headphones, so it probably can't. It's probably not coming through. Let me. I'm gonna take my headphones out. That's probably the way to do it. You guys hear that now?
Yeah, it works.
Luba comments on the Facebook going, "That's so cool." I mean, I've really enjoyed getting to explore around in this a little bit, and the few times I've kind of checked it as you were uploading things and just seeing kind of what I could stumble into as we were all making the Exquisite Corpses.
Yeah, I think it can be used in a lot of different ways. So I'm looking forward to developing it further also for the next year, because who knows what ideas everybody gets and different kind of programs we can write into this to make it something really unique. Because I found that really interesting in working for this festival, this collaboration where we just also share files and work with each other's works.
I mean, I found it quite interesting. One of the ideas we had when we were making the online festival was actually using kind of the 3D online exhibition softwares, where you kind of can place your images around the room, and it kind of makes it look like you're walking through a virtual space. So when you suggested this, it was kind of building our own custom one in a sense for the Exquisite Corpse project. I'm going to pop out of this just so that we can all be in. And Ken, we can see your screen now as you're having a little run through. Luba says that she used Cinema 4D as a well. When you suggested this, it was kind of building our own custom one in a sense for the Exquisite Corpse project. I'm going to pop out of. I'm going to do this and pop back just so we're all on video. Gallery, and I think we should all be in gallery view now. I'm going to pop my headphones back in, and it'd be great just to chat a bit. I think. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Wonderful. Thanks for going through that. I know we've kind of talked on and off about the soundscape pieces and kind of how you were getting along and building it for us during the festival. So it's great to hear it from you about the process of getting it all together and how it's, you know, issues do happen, but that's almost the fun of it as well.
Yeah, it was a bit of a coding challenge. Some parts we made before with these other 3D spaces, but a lot of stuff we had to rebuild, and also figure out as we were going along. And yeah, this is always a challenge, always fun to do. But sometimes, well, still things pop up that don't always work like they should. But well, we accept it as part of this way of working.
Yeah, and I mean, I really wanted to embrace that almost for this festival as well, where a lot of us are working online, where might not be used to it, or where we're working internationally, kind of working across time zones and catching people at wrong times of the day. Happy accidents will have always been made, and it's good to kind of see you embrace that a bit with the project as well.
Yeah, yeah. Also with the glitch swap game, also what you said with the time zones, this is also really fun because two of the artists are in Australia. So with working with these time zones is always difficult. Setting up meetings, some people have to get up really early to meet, but yeah, it's a fun challenge also to realize how over these space to work over these large spaces, and it's really great.
Yeah, and I think it's part of the fun challenge as well, where when we're all trying to meet on Discord to kind of talk about what we've been doing in the last few weeks, or sending the exquisite corpse files around. It's kind of just the reality of having an online festival and the kind of hoops you need to jump through for it. But it's good that it's a fun part of it, really, and it kind of keeps you on your toes a bit. I guess if anybody does have any questions, again, who's watching online, I'll keep an eye on the Facebook chat. But Mark, while I have you here, it'd be great to hear, I guess, a bit more about the Glitch Swap project. And you talked about it kind of briefly in the beginning of the stream, but kind of where we had some issues and jumped over. If anybody hasn't caught that, how did you find the process of kind of working with so many different people in getting these images together? And I'd just love to hear a bit more about it.
Yeah, well, it was interesting how it got started because Orlando approached us on Facebook. He saw the Exquisite Corpse works and he said, well, I had a plan for something similar, only this was more like a game. It has a bit more rules to it. And he said, well, maybe you also want to do something with this. And we were really busy at the moment, so a week later we had time to really have a good look at it, and we thought, well, we can also include it into this 3D space and maybe try and get this project started with more artists. And at that point, we just started inviting people we know from other projects and from other exhibitions. And we got all together and started just with this simple image of the white and this black square and sending it to the other person and seeing what they will do with it. So first, it was the rules were more that you have this information of the image, and you have to process it in such a way that it changes what it was. So, first step with just a black and a white image, you have a lot of freedom actually because it's pretty open. And along the way, it gets more defined because the information is interpreted more by different people. And I think beginning of end of last week, we got together and talking about this second round of the game, and we were trying to look at ways to deconstruct the file more, so to get this this path it took, and break it apart again so it becomes something completely different. So we played around with a couple of the ideas of what we could do with the rules, and we decided that actually a really simple and interesting way of making sure that it really changes is to add the rule of translating something from digital to an analog object, because these two mediums are fundamentally really different. So you always have to translate it to another form, which automatically changes it. And in this process, you can still do other manipulations to it, and it kind of always needs to be digitized again because you have to send it to another person. Well, I guess you could send an analog work to another person, but you have to use the post. But that can take a while if it has to go to Australia. So maybe not a good option. Uh, and also fun to see what people did with this. And we will have more of these works, so we just keep on posting them. Um, One of the translations, someone actually used a clock and translated it by way of filming it, just a process of time of this movie playing. You get all kinds of these fun interpretations of the new file.
I think that's great that you guys are starting to, I guess, kind of move into phase 2 with this project now. And I have a feeling after our screening of all the exquisite corpses at the end of the festival, we'll be starting to think about, what phase 2 might be for us as well.
Yeah.
Although I'll save that conversation for maybe the open studio tomorrow for those of us that can jump in. Ken, as you're with us, did you have a chance to have a look around the 3D soundscapes? What did you think of them? You're muted at the moment, Ken.
Hi. Yes, I had a look, and it's really interesting because I do 3D myself models, and it's interesting how it's a different form of animated space than your usual, I guess. Well, I realize it's Java, and it's a lot different from like 3D Studio Max or Maya or anything like that. But I think it's an interesting collaborative space where you can, I don't know, where you can actually, yes. Interact with your sounds and your images as I suppose a way bridges or making collaborations or whatever it is you do. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's great, Mark.
Yeah, it would be also fun if we add in a direct interaction. That's when two people are logged into the space, they can also see each other or work together in this way. Then it would actually also become much more interactive between people. It could be a bit of a combination also between a more a social media platform, a creative platform.
Sounds like you have a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah, a lot of ideas, but which direction it takes, well, that depends on who wants to collaborate and what ideas there are. So everyone is welcome to join in, actually. So we like this when a lot of people just share their ideas, and we also hope that it gives a lot of people inspiration for maybe this project or other projects, because there are so many options with programming and technology, and often in more commercial forms we see that they don't make use of all these options. And this is the great thing about art also, which I meant with this anecdote with my friend that thinks more about market value. well, art gives you this freedom to just do something because you have a question or you have an idea about something, and combined with technology, this can lead to all kinds of interesting things.
I mean, I imagine that's the kind of conversation of, do I do it because I enjoy it or do it because it might have some market value? I think that's a conversation we've all had with somebody at one point in time or another. And yeah, at the end of the day, as a creative person, you want to make things because you enjoy making things. And you know, if somebody wants to buy it, great. If somebody doesn't, I'm still going to make it.
Yeah. That's the interesting difference in these ways of thinking. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine, and we discuss these things a lot. Also talking about politics and economy, but I do think he, in some ways, also has a valid point in the way that. Sometimes, what I experience, spend a lot of time in something, and it may not ever be used for anything, and you could always question, well, how useful is it then to do so? So these two worlds are, I think personally, really interesting when they interact, these different lines of reasoning, because it also gives you different ways of approaching the same aspect, also to, for example, understand why government decides on which projects to fund in arts, or in recent years in the Netherlands, there's just a lot less funding for art, but this gives you also a bit of an insight in why this works, because it seems also to be a move towards more artworks that are more practical, that focus on actually building something that solves a problem in society, or explores ways to build technologies to solve issues. And these things can be really interesting, but they move away from this freedom of just doing something because you think it just has to be done.
Luba made a really interesting comment. I'm just going to read it out. She says, I think considering where we are now in time, these types of interfaces will be really useful to people who want to collaborate online but can't do so much in face-to-face. And I think that's really, it is a really valuable thing. And as we kind of get to move forward, if there is a stage where we can have a few of us in this online space where we can build things, or have things uploaded that we want to share, and have it as a virtual open studio essentially.
This also with thinking about the future is always a question. Will next year, will the situation be improved? Will we be able to have an actual festival or actual event, or will we still be in the same problems we are now in? And these kinds of things can be solutions to it. And well, a world that simply is changing, and a world that is changing, creativity is a really important thing. So maybe if anyone from the government is also listening, maybe give us more funding.
I hope that by next year we can see some other people in person. I think if not, my housemates will really not like me by then. But I mean, it's a really hopeful thing to be working on as well. Of especially as you mentioned before, kind of working internationally and across time zones. It's often very difficult to collaborate with people that aren't in your local area or somewhere that you can kind of get to easily. And I think for people that want to collaborate and want to work with people of all different backgrounds, and get different inspirations just from other people that they would normally have no contact with, it's a really great idea just to be able to have a space where you can upload things and we can explore and see what we're working on. So it's a very exciting project, I think. I think shall we wrap up there? Was there anything else you wanted to show us, or?
No, I was thinking about what you said about working with people all around the world. Also, the interesting part also see is that exploring certain cultural differences and stuff like this is also really interesting in these kinds of collaborations, because often when I work in different countries, um, I get the comments, and I think it's really a Dutch thing that I tend to be really direct. But if you just work in the Netherlands, you might never notice that this difference exists, and ways of communicating. And it's also a great thing I see with art, that you can just see these things you normally wouldn't notice about yourself and about how people interact. And also just with collaborating, with working, see how other people see the world and how they interact.
Yeah, though, I mean, actually, Sydney and I started to have a really nice conversation after his performance of just how he was really enjoying the collaborative elements and being able to work with kind of people internationally. And, you know, while he was having issues with his internet connection, whenever he kind of joined, it was catching up on everything, and being able to do the exquisite corpse, kind of that international connection was really important. And I think that's something really great about our group this year for the festival. I guess we'll wrap up there, because I know we could talk all afternoon. Perhaps it would give us something to do, but thank you so much. That was fantastic. And it was great to be able to hear it from you as well, and kind of see a little bit of troubleshooting along the way. It makes me happy to know that when I'm trying to build something and it doesn't work, it'll fix itself. It's fine. It'll work. So thank you for kind of stepping in this afternoon and running us through that.
Yeah, it's been really great also working for the festival, seeing everything, seeing a lot of interesting things that were broadcast. And of course, I really like to thank you for inviting us, because it's been really fun, especially at this time. It worked really well for us to have this thing to work towards and think about and problem solve. So we really enjoyed it and really appreciate being invited.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on board. Anyways, I guess we'll wrap up the talk and workshop for this afternoon. Tomorrow we're going to be running an open studio, same time in the afternoon. So I think we're going to hopefully have some conversations about collaborating a bit further. Maybe we'll have a bit of a live jam, whatever we feel up to on the day. So hopefully we'll catch you tomorrow as well.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Great. Thank you everybody who's been tuning in and watching online. Do tune in tomorrow as well, just for a chat and get to see everybody. And I will sign us off now then. Thank you so much again, Mark. That was wonderful. Goodbye, everybody. Have a lovely rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in whatever